All right, this video shows you how to assemble the toggle clamp. First thing you need to do is create an assembly and rename it. And of course you have to insert the parts. So just insert them and click the green check. And now I'm going to hide everything but the base so that we can orient the base correctly. Okay, so now we need to pick the triad manipulator for this part. So you just pick on the center of the triad manipulator and hover over this surface, and then the little centroid shows up. So just place that down there. And now right click on this arrow. And you need to say either align or anti-align with Z, depending on how you lined everything up. This, if it looks like this, it's going to be anti-align. Okay, then you right click on the centroid and say move to origin. And lastly, you're going to want to fix the base. Okay, so now that we have the base oriented in the correct location and direction, I'm going to mate everything else. So to do that, to start, I'm going to move everything else out of the way. Just because I like to be able to see what I'm clicking on. This is personal preference, but it's the way I like to operate. So here we go. We are going to create a mate, a fastened mate between this red bushing and the base. So we're going to get on this face, we're going to grab that center of the hole, and then you're going to need to rotate the view and zoom in really. And what you want to get here is get the face, the planar face here. And you might really need to zoom in there. Now I got it, so I'm going to hit the shift key to make sure that when I move my mouse now, I'm going to still get the middle of this planar face. And the reason you want the face instead of the edge is in case you make changes in the future, it will still maintain where it needs to be, such as if you add a fillet or something like that. Now this is obviously in the wrong direction, so I'm going to flip the primary axis. And now you can see that this bushing is flush against the face of the base. So moving on to slide 10. Actually, sorry, now that was 10 to finish it off. Slide 11, we're going to create mate connectors between this piece and the bushing we just added. And that will be a slider mate because what this part can do is just move in and out. It can't rotate. So I'm going to get this cylindrical face and the mate connector in the middle of it. And same thing with this, the middle mate connector. And that looks good, so I'm going to green check that. And just make sure when you did this that you weren't connecting it to the base, that you actually picked a mate connector on the bushing. And the next mate we want to add is between this blue arm and the pin on the base. But the problem here is that there's no mate connector in between this. So we want it on the center of this space in between, and there's no mate connector there. So this is where the explicit mate connector comes in. We're going to go to the Part Studio. And I'm going to hide the base just to make sure I know what I'm picking. And up here under the drop down is mate connector. Click on that. And rather than just on entity, we want to say between entities because we are going to put it in between the two matching faces here. So I'm going to pick this surface, and then I like to hit the shift key to make sure I know I'm getting that surface, and I'm going to pick that as the first mate. And then the next part that we want is get this let me start this one over. We want that middle face and this face. And the owner part is going to be the arm. And so now you can see that it created that mate connector. The reason there was that little bit of confusion in there, let me explain. The first one, it picks the mate connector here, and then the second pick, you don't actually have to pick a second mate connector because it just finds that surface and puts it exactly in the middle of the two based on where the first mate connector was. All right, so now that we have this mate connector in our part, I can turn the base back on just so that you keep your part studio looking the way you intend it to. And now we can create that mate that we wanted, which is a revolute mate. And we want it in the center of this pin. And we're going to use the mate connector we just created. Okay, and that is oriented the correct way. And we do need to put some limits in here. So if you have everything set up the same way as I do, your limits will be -100 and -15. So basically you want it to be able to travel 85 degrees. If you clicked different surfaces first, you may have it so that your Z direction is pointing exactly opposite. So you might want to check out, you can see right here, my Y is pointing in this direction, my X is up, and so on. If yours is in my Z is pointing in this direction, positive. So that's where all these numbers come from. If yours is different than that, that does not mean you have to redo everything. That just means you have to figure out where your 85-degree range should live. So you may have to play with the signs there or some other things. And now just to show you what the motion should be. Why is this not? Oh, in fact, there. This is a good example. So mine is going in the exact opposite direction. We want it to go actually forward from here. So I will edit these. All right, so just to show you, I must have selected in a different order than what the slides showed you, and the slides wanted these numbers. So since I know we need 85 degrees and the -15, you can see right here, it's telling me I'm currently at a -15 position, and that I know is the farthest back position. So I'm going to say -15 and then give it an 85-degree range. So 85 plus the -15 will give me 70. Now I can hit play and it will walk through the range of motion here, and that looks right. So I'm going to accept this. So you may have to play around with that just like I just had to. All right, so now the next mate connector, I'm going to move this one into position roughly. And what I mean is I'm going to rotate this part so that it's approximately where I want it. And now I'm going to create a revolute mate between this end here. I'm going to get the middle and this one here. And again, I like to use the shift key to make sure you maintain the surface that you want to click on. And what went wrong here? Oh, somehow I lost the second mate connector. So it gave me an error because I only had one thing selected, which makes sense. And now we need this obviously to go mating up to that one. So again, I'm going to pick the middle in the middle of this cylinder. And remember, it shows you that things went wrong, but if you hit the solve button, it will put all the mates down where they should be. Okay, so that has everything but the handle on it now. And you can see that the motion looks about right. Okay, so now to get the handle on it, I'm going to move this roughly in the middle because the next thing we're going to do is create a section view. So to create a section view, I'm going to pick here, and I'll pick right on the edge of this. And now the mate connector that we need a fastened mate, and we're going to pick the middle of this, the top of this. So you need to get this surface, the round surface, and then what I suggest is hit the shift key to make sure you get that surface's mate connector. And then the equivalent up here. And this is why you need the section view, because it's really hard to get this surface when you can't see it. And what did I just do? Let's see. Okay, so the only thing that went wrong with that mate, it would be easy to fix, is I just need to rotate the, reorient, excuse me, the secondary axis. And there we go. And so now if I turn the section view off, this should be the completed part. You can test the motion. I would suggest putting it on the straight view so that you're looking straight on this, and then you can pull this through the motion. And there you have it. To turn it in, you also have to do mass properties to give me the center of mass when it's in the completely closed position. That's it.